esteemed guests. Today's menu has some dishes that might not be suitable for all palates. There'll be hearty servings of fatphobia in general, featuring disordered eating and dieting, as well as sides of street harassment and racism. Rest assured, if you need to go elsewhere due to your particular dietary needs, no judgment will be passed. To start off, I'd like to present you with a story from last summer. I was walking down the streets here in Portland, Maine. It was a hot day, about 80 degrees or so. I would translate that into Celsius for any international viewers, but I went to public American school, so no idea. Your ways are strange and frightening to me, ergo, I refuse to learn. A gentleman, a term I use very loosely for reasons about to become abundantly clear, was walking in the opposite direction of me. As he passed me, he said very loudly and very clearly directed at me, "Cover up. I don't want to see that." The outfit that I was wearing that day is actually the one I'm wearing right now. This happens to be one of my favorite dresses. I like the material, I think it looks pretty good on me, and also it has pockets. Oh, that's right, dressers of the world, look on and envy at my glorious hidey holes. The only difference between then and now is that I was also wearing a mask and had my purse slung across my chest. There was also, something else. It's right off the top of my head, I swear. All around us on the streets of Portland, people were wearing their crop tops, their shortest shorts, and their flippy floppies. And that's fine, everyone looked great. I just point that out because compared to a lot of people on the street that day, I actually was pretty covered up. But that didn't matter to this man. I was showing too much. I was meant to cover it up because a random man walking in the opposite direction of me when I was already on my way home didn't like that. I'm not an idiot. I wasn't born yesterday. I have been getting unsolicited feedback on my appearance since I was 13 years old, mostly from adult men. That meant my fat. He meant me. So I stopped him and I said, "Sir, that is an extremely hurtful and rude thing to say to me, a stranger who you do not know the first thing about. You are not the fashion police, ACAB, by the way. What I wear is 100% not your business. Maybe in the future, before opening your mouth, you might actually take a moment to consider what your words mean and how they might affect people in the other world while you're just going about your day." Nah, I'm just kidding. I fucking lost it. Oh, geez. Dignity? Never heard of her. I've dealt with a lot of street harassment in my life, especially since moving to Portland. I've been beeped at, propositioned, followed, touched without permission, had everything commented upon from the state of my clothes to what my feet looked like. I was once even barked at by a human. But this particular incident really stands out to me, mostly because of this man's assertion that I, a stranger that he didn't know anything about, should acquiesce to his request. I deserve to be harassed, to have my day interrupted, to hear his commentary on my body just because of how it looks. Why did he feel the need to do that? Was it just typical male entitlement? You know, that patriarchal assumption that if a woman isn't appealing directly to a man's dick, then she deserves to have her day interrupted? Maybe. Maybe it's something else. Why is it okay to shame fat people for just existing? Why is it okay to be public about your weight loss, to gain that attention for that, but it's not as accepted to love your body? Or hell, even to just accept it if you're fat. Why are some fatties considered good and others bad? Well, I'm gonna have to leave you with that one. It's just about time for me to go. I gotta go get ready for my shift. It's gonna be a long one today. Bon appetit. I'm so glad we get to do this. It's been ages. Why haven't we done this sooner? Well, the last time I saw you, you dropped a house on my sister. Right, that mess. I already apologized. Besides, Maybe if she'd been doing a little more cardio, she would have been able to dodge the house.
Oh, I'll give you something to dodge.
Can you not make a spectacle of yourself right now? Besides, we have important things to discuss.
What could I possibly have to discuss with my sister's murderer? In fact, why am I even here?
Shoehorn plot reasons. And for starters, you haven't RSVP'd to my annual health retreat yet.
Retreat.
Do you think your sister would want you to waste away just shoving empty calories into your body while you grieve for her?
Oh shit. We're doing one of those things. Shit, what's it called?
Ripping off more talented YouTubers?
That one dead Greek dude did it.
You mean Socratic dialogue.
Right. Socrates, yeah. Do we have to though?
Of course. Don't you want to get in touch with your inner goddess?
God, this is gonna be some insufferable #girl boss shit, isn't it?
My retreats are perfect for all body types. We believe very strongly in body positivity.
No, thanks. I'm gonna pass. It's kind of awful these days anyway.
What are you talking about? My retreats offer an inclusive, diverse environment that allows anyone to come learn how to love themselves while also shedding a few of those extra pounds that keep them from getting their true potential.
Get the fuck out of here.
Excuse you?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. The modern day body positivity movement has nothing to do with its roots anymore. It's been overrun by white women who are already conventionally attractive.
You should really change your name to Adam because you ruin everything.
If I look up #body positivity on Instagram, I will instantly find like 10 white fitness instructors all sitting in front of their mirror, hunched over to make rolls appear. How is that inclusive?
So you don't think that white women are allowed to love themselves?
I'm saying that body positivity was not invented for people who already pass what our society deems hot in its very limited standards. And also, it kind of bothers me that these women like forcibly hunch their body over to create roles. I mean, I don't know. What about like women like us who have roles no matter how we sit or stand?
Maybe yours does. I wear shapewears 24/7.
That sounds really uncomfortable.
It is.
Are you okay?
Fine, fine.
Like twice the patriarchy's got ya.
Fine. Besides, what is it that you mean by body positivity has nothing to do with roots anymore? I mean, the whole point is to be positive about our bodies. It seems very straightforward to me. Maybe you just have some insecurities you need to unpack.
Okay. Number one, my insecurities stem from the fact that I keep falling for emotionally unavailable scarecrows. You know that.
I tried to set you up with the mayor of the Munchkins. He's actually a really nice guy. Although he does talk about the Joker movie a lot.
Number two, the body positivity movement used to be this radical activist movement. It was political in nature, and black fat women were a major component of it.
Oh no. Oh no. I know where you're going with this.
Fat phobia.
Please don't. I'm begging you.
Fat phobia has its roots in racism.
You think everything has its roots in racism.
Because everything does. Read a book.
If you go off about tipping again, I swear to God.
We're gonna put a pin in that one.
Great.
We're gonna circle on back to it.
Okay, fine. I'll bite. How is fat phobia racist?
So let's start with the 1700s.
I already regret this.
Race scientists were making completely unsubstantiated claims about black fat women based on a lot of pseudoscience that had no basis in fact. And this would later go on to influence eugenics.
Like what the Nazis used?
That's an easy, obvious example, sure. But the Nazis didn't invent eugenics. A lot of countries at one time or another have it implemented. America, for instance.
You must be so much fun at parties.
The roundness of black women became mythical in a way, a sign of their inherent laziness. It was believed that black men were fattening them up as pigs. And that animal comparison was very deliberate because it was believed that black people were more akin to a separate species, closer aligned to animals than white people.
Well, that's horrible.
Yeah, and white women were encouraged to slim down and stay thin so that they could not be compared to black women in any way. It was a way for them to reassert their privilege and class.
Yikes.
Yikes for days.
Yikes on bikes.
Yikes squared.
Obviously, all of that is terrible, and I don't condone any of that at all, but we're in 2021 now. surely people know better than that now.
Okay, well, sure, people don't outright say black people are lazy and fat because they're animals, at least not in polite company. But there is still this attitude that larger black women, especially the ones who are darker skinned, are inherently less attractive. Not to mention, the idea of them being lazy and just fattening themselves up has a lot of similarities with the welfare queen stereotype. Oh, and that's not even the wildest part.
What?
The guy who invented BMI, some Belgium dude 200 years ago, he wasn't even a scientist. He was a mathematician. Yeah. He came up with the idea for a healthy medium weight by only measuring French and Scottish people. And he wasn't doing that to do an individual indication of health. He was using it to gather data.
So how did...
Fast forward to the insurance companies.
What?
I know how this sounds, but seriously, insurance companies started to essentially copy the BMI scale, but they were only gathering data from people who were already insured, mostly financially well-off white people who already fit into their idea of health.
Insurance companies?
And they used that to deny other people, especially undesirable black people, from getting insured. A practice which still continues on today, by the way.
Wait a sec.
Oh, and also, these scales were massively flawed because they were often self-reporting, so not very reliable in the least bit. Oh, and on top of that, the insurance companies were all using their own factors to decide what was healthy or not, so they were massively inconsistent. These weren't made with medical input, by the way, but doctors did start copying the tables made by the insurance companies.
When was this?
Let's see, it started around the 1900s or so, but by 1950, 1960s, that's when it really started to rev up. And I think the modern day BMI scale was made in 1970.
That recently?
Yep.
My mom was born in 68.
You doing okay there, buddy?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Just processing.
So yeah, the current BMI scale has been shown to massively overestimate health risk in black people. And also, because all the participants were assigned male at birth, it also means...
Oh, great. So it's sexist too. Wonderful. Okay, fine, just fuck BMI. Fuck BMI into the sun. But I don't see how any of this matters when we're talking about modern body positivity.
The body positivity movement started about in the 70s, which is when BMI was really starting to take off. Now, it is true that the first body positivity movement was started by a white guy, but a lot of black women ended up joining because they were the ones who were being the most negatively affected by BMI and fatphobic attitudes in the medical industry. So they were the ones who were doing all of the hard labor and the organizing, which is pretty much what happens in every activist group. You know, black women do all the hard work and then white people take all the credit.
Well, that was all very informative.
There's a lot more we could talk about.
Oh, I am sure. But to be honest with you, I'm feeling a little full, and I got hot yoga in a half hour. I like to get there early so I can get close to the vents.
We haven't even talked about capitalism yet.
Maybe next time. I'll text you.
Crap. We never dig into the history of tipping. Next time.
Let's take a small break while we're putting the finishing touches on your next plate. A long time ago, way before the pandemic, there was this guy I was seeing. It never got very serious, but at one point I did end up over at his apartment and he did come over here one time because he told me he hadn't seen aliens. And if someone I'm dating hasn't seen aliens, everything in that relationship comes to a complete standstill until they see the glory that a Sigourney Weaver and a power loader facing off the xenomorph queen. Bitches love xenomorphs. It's me on bitches. Anyway, on our fourth and what was destined to be our final date, we were talking about something, I don't even remember what now, and I made this very throwaway comment about being a fat kid. And my date got real serious all of a sudden. He said, "You're not fat, you're beautiful. If you were fat, I wouldn't be attracted to you." So much to unpack. The "you're not fat, you're blank" backwards compliment is something I've run into now a few times. And I recognize that it is well-intentioned. For a lot of people growing up, fat was synonymous with the words ugly or bad. For a lot of people, it's instinct to just immediately snap into the role of comforter and assure the other person that it's not true. Here's the thing though, the word fat is just a descriptor. It's no more different than calling somebody tall or black or blonde or tattooed, or all of those at the same time. If you were describing someone to the police and you were saying, okay, officer, so he was 6'2", pale skin, dark hair, a bit on the fat side, it'd be really weird if the police officer said, no, he's voluptuous. The thing that really struck me, though, was that second thing he said. If you were fat, I wouldn't be attracted to you bit. Much like the random asshole in the street, these scenarios actually aren't about me. They're about what these men feel about me and feel about looking at me. The random asshole in the street didn't like seeing me because of how it made him feel to look at me. My date didn't like the idea of me being fat because of what it says about his attraction to me. Purely, hypothetically, if I was fat, that means he would be attracted to a fat person. And I don't think he liked the idea of how that would reflect on him. Not only would he have to take some time to seriously unpack these internalized ideas around why he could never possibly be attracted to a fat, but he then also would have to deal with the very real stigma that does come with dating one. I wonder how he would have reacted if I had told him I had a mental illness. You're not mentally ill, you're just quirky. He also believed in demons. This is not an isolated incident at all. Plenty of fat people have similar stories. I actually have some friends who are plus-size sex workers. You might be surprised to know this, but I've had quite a few of them tell me that they have some very attractive, like conventionally attractive clients, like irrefutable Adonises who love to hire them for their services, but never in a million years would publicly admit that they find them attractive. A lot more men, women, and non-binary folk are into fat people than they let on. They just don't like to admit it, because for some, there's a concern that they would look bad by association, that it is an endorsement of an unhealthy lifestyle, according to some. If you're not really sure how to deal with the "you're not fat, you're blank" backwards compliment, here's a little advice that helped me. The next time, just look them right in the eye and say, "Why can't I be both?" Enough of my ramblings. It's time for your next course. I'm glad we could do this again.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I was pretty surprised to get your text. You seemed pretty overwhelmed last time we spoke.
I thought about it a lot, and then I sat down and I meditated, and I really had some mindful exercises, and I spoke to my psychic, and then I spoke to my second psychic, and I was going to speak to my third psychic, but she was out of town.
All of that, huh?
To get a hold of her. But after all of that, I can say definitively that you're right. Fat phobia has its roots in racism.
Okay.
But
Here it comes.
I think the body positivity movement can be saved. It can be for everyone.
That's all well and good for you to say, but the fact is that in modern body positivity spaces, the majority of the bodies being praised are white ones. Women who are conventionally attractive and then promoting anti-diet diets and trying to prove that they're the good one.
And I feel so bad about that, but I can only speak to my own experiences. And for me, body positivity has helped a lot.
How? By giving you a new hashtag to follow?
Well, if you give me a few minutes, sassy britches, I'll tell you.
Fine. Go ahead, get your YouTube confessional moment out of the way.
I never saw myself represented much by the media. Hollywood thinks fat is a size 8, and I was wearing a size 18 jeans by the time I was in high school. I grew these babies when I was 13, and they were sagging within a matter of weeks.
Weeks? Ow.
One time when I was running in a compression bra, one of these flew up into my face and gave me a black eye.
I can't believe that they don't teach people that there's more than one kind of sports bra growing up. Big titties need encapsulation. There should be a TED Talk about that.
Growing up, it just felt like all the thin and pretty girls with perky boobs were the ones considered the most attractive. Certainly they were the ones being asked out. No one was asking me out. Certainly not the hot guys at my school.
What about the girls? Or the MBs?
Oh, I didn't know I was bi yet. I grew up in Central Oz.
Ooh, wicked rough, hey, bud?
I felt so isolated and alone. My self-esteem was just so bad going into college. My first real relationship was with somebody who didn't treat me right. It was a very unhealthy relationship. But at the time, I just felt like I needed somebody, anybody, to love me, or else I had no worth. And it was better to be with somebody who treated me like that than to be alone.
That's hard. I'm really sorry.
Thank you. It's okay. I eventually did leave him.
Oh, good for you. That's great. I'm happy for you, really.
After that, I felt like I had to rebuild this whole sense of self from the ground up, and I didn't know how to do that. I had gained a lot of weight, honestly, in that relationship because I was unhappy and food was a sort of refuge. It wasn't until I started seeing those posts, the body positivity posts, that I realized that there were lots of women like me, women who had been on and off diets their whole life but had just never been able to stick to one and make the weight stay off. Seeing women who had curves and were sharing their stories publicly, talking about how some of them had been dieting and fasting since they were 8 years old, it made me realize how important it is to love myself.
Look, I don't want to minimize anything that you just said, and I'm glad that body positivity did help you during a really rough time of your life. But I'm still really concerned by what I'm hearing. It sounds like you only ever learned to love yourself in the context of control, of reining it in, and that just doesn't sound positive or acceptance to me.
Part of loving myself is making sure that I maintain my health for the good of my loved ones so I can be with them for a long time. You don't have any children, so you don't understand where I'm coming from.
Do my simian fur babies in the custom aviary I had installed for them recently mean nothing to you?
Okay, but do you ever think about how important it is to treat your body well so that you can be there for them? About how it's important to get proper nutrition so you can live a long and happy life?
My disinterest in losing weight or counting calories doesn't mean that I'm not at least attempting to eat vegetables and fruit, at least most of the time. And I actually do enjoy working out. It's just been harder to do lately, what with all the stress life has been throwing at us lately.
Yeah, 2020 did mess with a lot of people's workout regimens.
You can't tell from looking at somebody, even a fat person, whether or not they're healthy. Not every fat person is up late at night binge eating ice cream or doesn't understand proper nutrition. In fact, some of them may have already lost weight but just still happen to be fat.
Okay, but your health.
I have a physical literally every year, and at the last one, all of my blood work came back healthy.
You really never count calories at all.
Sure fucking don't. In fact, some of my numbers now are better than when I was doing keto and counting carbs all the time.
Oh, I don't do keto.
Ugh, good. I personally don't recommend it.
I'm on intermediate paleo fasting at the moment. Yeah, I can eat what a cave human meat every other afternoon, and also once a month I do colon detoxes.
Oh no.
On my cheat days, I can lick an already emptied out bag of Funyuns.
That sounds horrible and frustrating. I mean, don't you think it's a little hypocritical of you to be spouting body positivity while also adhering to a very strict diet and thinking more about food than you probably would if you just relaxed and let yourself just eat like a normal person? I'm really trying to not come off as judgmental or shaming. I don't think that all intentional weight loss is bad or that gym rats are fat phobic. I just know that I was in that position that you are now, and it was not good or healthy for me.
I can assure you, I'm doing great.
And maybe you are. I just know that when I was still doing keto, I got to this point where if the number on the scale didn't go down, I felt like a failure. Anytime I went over the allowed amount of carbs, I would just spiral and feel so guilty, like I had let myself down. And that's without getting into the painful leg cramps that I was having every single day, despite me trying to cure it in all the ways you're supposed to, despite all the reassurances I was getting from the keto subreddits. Dieting in a way that hurts your body is not healthy for you.
The anti-diet diet movement has really helped me find a regimen that works for my ideal body type, and it's done absolute wonders for me.
That's still a diet though! Oh my god, how can it be anti-diet if a thin white lady is telling you what to eat and ascribing morality to food?
Because this one was custom made for me.
And how much did that cost you?
I'd rather not say. Oh no. Oh, you're about to talk about capitalism, aren't you?
The body positivity movement has become so capitalist. You know, it used to be this political and radical movement. Now you have Dove commercials spouting body positivity, while actually profiting off of the very insecurities that they help to foster.
Isn't that ultimately good though?
You think that's good?
Look at it this way. There's now a lot more options in clothing and styles now that companies know that it can be profitable to actually market and sell to fat people. There's far more representation these days than there used to be. Fat women like Lizzo and Tess Holliday, and yes, I'm aware she's a really fucking problematic person, but I do not have the time to get into it in this video, are now household names on the covers of magazines. It used to be almost impossible for me to find any cute workout clothes that I could fit in, but these days I have a pair of yoga pants that I can fit my cell phone into while I'm doing my sun greetings.
Oh yes, I'm sure that this is what the fat activists of the 70s were hoping for,
Your scorn is noted.
A parade, a celebratory parade for the cute leggings.
My point is that we wouldn't even be here without body positivity. Is it perfect? No, of course not. But it's better than nothing.
The push through empty inclusivity for all has become yet another marker of class, a way to show off one's privilege.
Ooh, someone's been on leftist Twitter again.
It's true though. You really don't have a problem with the way that the self-love has been commercialized and repackaged? It's cringy. It's like that ad where one of the Kardashians gives a cup of Pepsi. It's tone deaf at best. At worst, it is actively working against the very body positivity message it's supposed to be espousing, mainly the dismantling of fat oppression in the mainstream.
Oppression? You as a white woman think you are oppressed because you're fat.
Oh, no, not me personally. I'm still on the smaller side of fat. I can walk into just about any clothing store and usually still find something that fits me. Although sometimes I am the largest size and it does make me want to cry.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Not everyone is that lucky though. There are people who are literally sizes 26 or 30 or beyond who can only shop for their clothing online. And even then they might not be able to afford it because a lot of these companies tend to charge more for those larger sizes based on the idea of more material being used. Airlines will charge fat people for multiple seats while actively making the seats smaller.
But I can understand it from a business model though. If you're taking up more space,
ding ding ding, you nailed it.
What? Wait, what?
Fat people are being charged for taking up more space.
Well, if they don't want to pay more, then they should just do what I'm trying to do and try to lose the weight. Do you think I really like salad?
Having the time and energy to work out is a privilege not everybody has.
Oh, what? Not everyone can take a 30-minute walk every day? What, that's privilege now?
Yes. Some people have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to keep a roof over their heads. What is someone like that supposed to find time to work out?
Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. Maybe they don't have the time to work out, but they can at least make the effort to eat healthier.
Again, though, how do you know that a poor fat person just isn't eating healthy enough? And that's without getting into the whole problem of needing to have the time and energy to even be able to cook for yourself. Vegetables and fruits don't last long. They may decide to get fast food or takeout, which is a lot more convenient, but also does tend to be more calorie heavy. Plus, some people do live in areas that lack grocery stores called food deserts. They may end up only being able to do their shopping at bodegas or convenience stores, which typically are a lot more limited in what they have available.
Oh, I see. So every poor fat person is a disenfranchised victim of society. Can't take any responsibility for themselves?
The idea that a poor fat person's eating choices are deserving more scrutiny than their thin counterpart tells me that you don't actually care about their health. You just care about optics.
You were impossible.
And you should just admit that you like being superior to other fat people. You like to post your weight loss statuses and your pictures of your workouts and your food just so you can feel superior. You like to be considered a good fatty, don't you?
Oh my God, this is why nobody takes you seriously. It's because you're so angry and loud. If you could just calm down for 5 seconds and chill out for a minute, maybe people would listen to you.
Well, at least I haven't bought into the weak platitudes of white feminism.
Oh, on your way to a protest?
I need to show myself some self-love by going home drinking several cups of bad alcohol, smoking a bong, and then getting under my weighted blanket. Maybe you should do the same sometime.
I don't drink anymore.
I'll drink for 2 then.
I kind of would like that parade for the pants, though.
All right, let's do this.
How have you been enjoying your food and everything is seasoned to your liking? It's probably pretty obvious which side of the conversation I see myself on. Subtle, I do not pretend to be at all. I do hope, though, that I have left you with a lot of empathy for where Good Fatty is coming from and why she's in the position she's in. Honestly, I've had conversations with myself like this a few times. I do sometimes really struggle with appreciating having more fat representation, certainly more than I had when I was growing up. But at the same time, feeling a certain frustration with the lack of real societal change. A lot of myself was put into both characters. I did have very saggy tits from day one, and I struggled a lot as a teen with self-esteem, which is why in my early 20s, I did end up in a relationship that was, without going into details, less than ideal. The keto diet stuff was also based on my own experiences. Around my mid-20s, I learned about the keto diet approach. At the time, I was doing some detox stuff, so I was already starting to lose some weight. But I definitely lost more when I started cutting back on those evil carbs. I'm not gonna give you any numbers, by the way, not for what I weighed then, and certainly not for what I weigh now. But I will say that to look at me back then, I was a lot more conventionally attractive and thin. But if you were to check my BMI, I was still considered technically obese. But of course, we all know that BMI is complete made-up bullshit, and we've talked about that, so let's move on. Eventually, I was living and dying by those numbers. I could go a single carb over the allotted amount, and I would just immediately spiral into shame. I was constantly thinking about food, what I was going to eat, meal planning, how I was gonna work off the extra carbs on a cheat day. I would have dreams, the most decadent dreams you can imagine, with the most elaborate dessert platters imaginable, something out of a Studio Ghibli movie, and I would wake up ravenous and I would feel so much guilt. Since I have stopped dieting, I have gained weight, yes, but I don't have those leg cramps anymore. I don't think about food nearly as much as I used to. I don't always love my body, but I don't have a compatible relationship with it now either. At the beginning of 2020, I threw out my scale, and I haven't had one since. I actually gave it to a burlesque friend of mine. She was gonna do this really cool number where she was gonna destroy it. But then COVID ruined that. God damn it, COVID. Couldn't you just give us what? Just a little chill. Just a little chill is all I'm asking. And as my last trip to the doctors proved, I actually am healthy despite now being at my heaviest. My blood work is all normal. In fact, some of my numbers are better now than they were when I was on keto. I am healthy. And I also ate an entire bag of chips last weekend. Facts don't care about your feelings, fat phobes. One of the reasons that I am sharing all of this with you in such a public space, like scary public space like that with YouTube, is that fat people who are public about being in recovery from disordered eating very rarely get the same kind of recognition as our thin counterparts. If you're thin and in recovery for disordered eating, you're brave, courageous, just such an inspiration. But if you're fat and in recovery, well, you might not get the same kind of comments. You might even get accused of lying. The only consistent way that fat people get praise for what they're doing and being public about their situation with their bodies is through the vein of weight loss. And I'm here to tell you that that is extremely harmful. I think what we're seeing here is the idea of morals being linked to one's health. There's actually a word for this. It's called healthism. And it's the idea that one's ethical standing, their moral being, can be understood by looking at one's perceived health, or at least what we think their health is anyway. And the debate around good food versus bad food, some people forget that it's just food. A piece of cheesecake has no inherent morals. It's a piece of cheesecake, not a decision to punch somebody in the face or not. And sure, we could totally have a whole conversation around ethical consumption, if that's even possible in capitalism. We could talk about the way food is gathered, often at the expense of the land and the people who originally lived there. But I really am just talking about the act of eating. We, as people, put meaning and morals into that food. And that's really fucking dumb. If you eat an apple, you are a saint. If you eat a piece of cheesecake, though, you probably kick puppies in your spare time. you fat slob. Healthism doesn't just play out in fat-phobic ways, of course. It can manifest in a lot of ways, like transphobia. You know, kind of like how right now there's a big debate about whether or not it's good or bad to allow trans youth access to potentially life-saving medicine that will help them get through a very traumatic time of their life, or the sweeping moral judgments people make about someone who would choose to get an abortion. Healthism is a huge topic, far larger than any one course could possibly cover, but it's very much a part of this conversation, so I wanted to make sure to at least touch on that. Fat people can suffer from anorexia, and thin people can be binge eaters. Body dysmorphia knows no age limit or gender or body size. It can appear anywhere, anyone. You can't tell by looking at somebody what their health is, and you certainly can't tell just by looking what someone's morals are. You know, unless they're wearing a MAGA hat or something. And with all that out of the way, dinner is served. So, oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something? I just couldn't hear you over this meal that I'm so privileged to be having. Yeah. Oh, God, you're gonna make this so hard, aren't you? Okay, look, you asked me to come. I'm here. Why don't you just say what you have to say, and then we'll go back to our lives, all right? I'm sure you have plenty of Karl Marx to read. I double parked my bubble. I wanted to apologize to you. Seriously? You're not, I don't know, messing with me? No. I mean, yes. I mean, yes, I am here to actually apologize. No, I'm not here to mess with you. I am regretful for how our last conversation ended. Oh? How so? I realize that I can come off very strong around the subject of body positivity. And while I 100% believe I'm right, and it's definitely watered down, it's not really nearly as connected to activist roots as it should be. Eaters running, babe. I recognize that I could have approached it with a lot more compassion for your feelings, and that attacking you was not the right move to do. The way I left was not very productive for the conversation, and I'm sorry for any negative feelings or such that you may have experienced due to my actions and choice of words. That was really hard for you, wasn't it? Had my nails embedded in my palm the whole time. Well, I suppose I can be the bigger person here and accept your apology. What? What's so funny? Oh, you are messing with me, aren't you? I knew it! No, really. I'm not laughing at that. I just, you said be the bigger person. And? Talking about fatphobia. Oh, because we're, bigger. Oh, okay. No, I locked it into that one. I locked into it. I get it. There she is. I also am sorry. You're not too angry and loud. That wasn't nice of me to say. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm cool with it though. I actually respect it a lot. It shows that you're passionate and that you care a lot. That's a good thing. Well, thank you. I appreciate your apology too. And for what it's worth, I actually did, after our last conversation, end up down a bit of a oppression towards fat people rabbit hole, and it was actually rather revealing. Really? You researched something I told you about? I get why you're so passionate about this stuff. I mean, it's really interesting things. Like, for example, I found this study from 2019 that said that while attitudes around race and sexual orientation are actually improving, biases against fat people are actually getting worse. You read a study? And I also didn't realize that people fatter than us deal with so much weight stigma from their doctors. I found this other study,
It's the best day of my life.
that said that doctors tend to view their obese patients as a waste of time and on average spend 28% less time with them than their normal size patients. That's over a quarter. Really got me thinking. Are you crying?
No, I have pride in both of my eyes.
Well, now, don't get too excited. I'm not giving up my diet or anything like that. You still got plenty to criticize me for.
One battle at a time.
And honestly, I'm not really ready to just completely abandon body positivity just because it's become more commercial in the past few decades.
You know, I get that. I really do. And I'm not here to invalidate yours or, anybody else's experiences with body positivity. I just want to see more actual activism, things that are going to make real changes to make the world a more fat accepting place.
I can get on board with that.
And a lot of this conversation has been focused on able bodies. We haven't even really talked about how the world treats you if you're disabled and fat. If you're fat and disabled, say having to use a wheelchair, the world tends to treat you as being an extra burden, especially if you need caregivers to help you move in and out of the wheelchair or make your meals for you. Add in any other intersections you might be living at, Black or trans, and that just opens up a whole world of experiences that you or I just can't relate to.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I didn't even really think about that. Okay, so I can imagine how this might sound, but there's this part of me that's worried that if we push too much for fat acceptance, we might end up in a reverse situation.
Like reverse fat phobia?
Kinda. I mean, I just don't want someone to prove how progressive they are by being willing to fuck me even when they don't find me attractive. I mean, that just sounds terrible. I mean, if people don't have a preference for fat people, that should be okay, right?
I don't think any fat person wants to be dated just to prove a point or so that someone can prove how woke they are. But fatphobic coding, as we've talked about, is historic, and it's something that we're all socialized with.
Yeah.
But the idea of reverse fat phobia kind of hits me a little bit weird too, as being like a possible outcome of advocating for medical rights and health care and just like acceptance of fat bodies. It kind of feels like one of those whataboutisms that reply guys come up with against socialism. Like, ooh, what if we push too far and too many people have health care or housing?
Yeah. Spooky.
I'm not saying that thin people can't get unwelcome comments about their bodies or face different types of stigmas. Those definitely can happen. But do you really think that we're ever going to end up in a reverse scenario where thin people are charged at their detriment for not taking up as much space as other people?
Your tone makes me think, no?
Correct. Besides, I don't think any fat activist wants an inverse of the status quo any more than feminists want to replace the patriarchy with the matriarchy, where men are treated as second-class citizens and subservient to women.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of silly.
It is silly, right? Being stepped on by AOC, literally made to lick boots.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah, just imagine, just good boys, just doing what they're told, obedient little drums who have to answer my every whim.
Okay.
Doing my dishes for me, putting lotion on my legs after a shower, getting fitted for their collars.
Oh, you really thought about this, huh?
Getting under the table while I'm writing a script and just going to town on mine.
Eject. Whew. Okay.
How much of that did I just say with my outside voice?
Okay, moving past whatever the hell that was. What would you say to someone like me, or I don't know, hypothetically, someone just like listening in on this conversation can do to work on their biases against fat people? Do you just carry that around with you every day, all day, in case something like this comes up?
Some people carry mace. I carry books. So you're off to a good start with doing some of that research you've already done. It's remarkable how much you can learn with a simple Google search and a lack of sleep.
Darn tootin'.
You can also reach out to fat activists. They're all over the place and pretty easy to find. Just make sure that they are actually a fat activist. Just because somebody is fat and, living their life publicly, it doesn't mean that they necessarily want to be asked questions. I mean, plenty of fat people out there are just trying to live their lives as normally as possible.
Writing this down.
Sonia Renee Taylor, by the way, is a great resource. Her book, The Body Is Not an Apology, is really good and I highly recommend it. There's also a website. By the way, that and all the other major influences on this video, as well as my sources, are listed down below in the description box. Make sure to check those out.
Sonia Renee.
A really simple step, honestly, is just to make sure that you're following more fat people. By diversifying your Twitter and Instagram feed, you might be surprised how quickly it becomes normal to see fat bodies. And all kinds, by the way. Men, women, black women, people with disabilities, non-binary folk, two-spirit.
Okay, sounds easy enough. I guess I would just Google fat activists to follow.
You got it. I also highly recommend the book Fearing the Black Body by Sabrina Strings.
How many books do you walk around with?
It's definitely a bit heavier, but I believe in you.
This is fun, but I should get going. Gotta schedule a curbside pickup with my local bookstore. It's been fun.
Hey, wait, before you go, would you like to, I don't know, split a dessert with me?
Whew, well, that was sure a nutritious assortment of ideas, personal anecdotes, and facts. I hope everything was to your liking and that you're not too overstuffed now. I hate that overstuffed feeling, like everything you've eaten is about to burst out of your chest like a chest burster from Alien, but like the contents of a Chinese buffet instead. How many references to Alien can I make in this video? The experience that I catered for you tonight is in no way meant to make you feel judged. If you enjoy working out and counting calories isn't stress-inducing for you, then go at it. Working out can be awesome when you have the time and energy for it. And yes, there are times when intentional weight loss can be beneficial, just not as often as people think. I imagine that some people who've watched my videos thus far might be a little bit confused as to why I'm covering this subject. After all, I'm the non-monogamy girl now, right? Well, basically it's for two reasons. Number one, I'm the kind of person that likes to branch out. I'm interested in all kinds of things, and I never want to feel like I'm trapped in a particular box that YouTube has put me into. And second of all, I hate to tell you all this, but non-monogamous people also live in a society. And sometimes these fat-phobic tropes and attitudes and healthism itself can appear in our communities. We're not immune to that. I'm especially interested in reaching the good fatties out there, the reformers, the ones who are sitting at home right now feeling just a tad bit defensive. I want you all to know that I am not unsympathetic to where you're at right now. It's a place that I've been myself, as I've talked about in this video. I hope at the very least I have pointed out why the language and ideas that we express about health and fat people's bodies needs to be more thoughtful and altered, especially when coming from our fat peers. Honestly, my experiences with fat phobia, internalized and otherwise, really are actually quite tame. I've never had a doctor tell me that I can cure some medical problem just by losing weight. I've never been charged extra for taking up more room on an airplane. And I've never had somebody look at me in the eyes and tell me that as much as they love me, they will not hold my hand in public. I have friends who have dealt with all of that though. I have had friends get mooed at on the street, who have gotten messages from strangers chiding them for glorifying obesity just because they needed to go run an errand or they took a picture and posted it on Instagram. And that, there is no excuse for. It is inhumane and it is inexcusable and it needs to fucking stop. Also, shaming fat people literally doesn't work. It doesn't. Even if there is any truth to this health concern trolling that some people do, studies have shown consistently that shaming fat people usually causes them to gain more weight. So if you're doing it, you are actually being counterproductive. So stop. There's honestly so much more that I could have covered in the video that ultimately I chose not to due to just kind of keep the scope at least a little focused, and also just due to time constraints. There's a lot more that I could have covered about the intersection between capitalism, poverty, and fat phobia. Something I didn't even have time to cover is the fact that food lobbyists have purposely muddled the waters around nutrition and these facts that we just sort of accept as gospel, making it much harder to even know what is healthy for us these days. Zoe B has a fantastic video about that, and I highly recommend you watch it. That, as well as all my other sources, will be down in the description box below. As I was wrapping up the script, I became aware that there was a lot of anger coming towards people with higher BMIs getting their vaccines before others. My understanding about the logic of this is we're unhealthy, but we chose to be unhealthy. Ergo, that's why we're fat, and that is why we are bad people who don't deserve vaccines. Oh, hey, that's healthism again.
Hey, everybody. This is Editing Amanda talking to you right now. So fun story. As I was wrapping up filming and beginning to edit, a lovely little story went viral, which some of you may have seen over on Twitter, about a lovely new surgery and a study about wiring people's jaw shuts to make them lose weight. And sadly, this is not actually that new. This has existed for a long time, but this is apparently some new study. And yeah, real fucking frustrating to see that. I really wish that my video wasn't so goddamn relevant, but apparently it is, so enjoy that.
Never mind that we are less likely to get sound medical advice because being fat often translates into us getting less time with our doctors and often being dismissed just as being fat, and ergo we are less healthy, but not because of the actual fact. It's actually because of these biases the doctors have. So it actually kind of makes sense for us to get the vaccine if they're offering it just to be safe. But no, sure, totally, Karen, it's fat people the reason you're not getting your vaccine fast enough. Within the first couple of months of the pandemic, there was definitely a spike in weight gain anxiety as news outlets, mommy bloggers, and anti-diet dietitians started talking about the quarantine 15. There were even people protesting outside of gyms that they should be allowed to be open because they are essential businesses. Because I guess getting fat is worse than getting a virus that can destroy your body and have long-term effects. I swear to God, the next time somebody says obesity epidemic near me, I'm just gonna eat them. On her website, Mechanic Shop Femme, Chaya, an automotive writer and educator, wrote a really fantastic blog post called, "Are You Worried About Getting Fat Like Me?" In it, she says,
in strange and trying times like these, instead of worrying about how you're going to keep the shape of your body from changing, which is adapted to do, focus on how to avoid infection and having a plan for if you get sick. Focus on how to keep eating food and maintain joyful movement in ways that make you feel energized and strong. Focus on how you're going to stay in touch with the people in your life who keep you happy and balanced. That scoop of ice cream you desire to help allay the fear and strain you're feeling from the pandemic, enjoy it. Now more than ever, you are a lot more important than the weight on a scale.
I am not a good fatty. I'm not a bad one either. Honestly, I'm just hungry. So good.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it and would like to show me some support, there's a number of ways you can do that. For one thing, you can go over to patreon.com/mainlymandy and do a monthly donation. My patrons get nothing too fancy, to be honest with you, but there are some fun little perks you can get, like behind the scene pictures. You can get videos early depending on your tiers. I also do some other things that aren't just on YouTube, like I do some blog writing sometimes, so like patrons get access to entries early, which is kind of fun, things like that. And alternatively, if you are not able to dedicate
to a full like monthly thing, which is totally understandable, and want to do a one-time donation, that's also cool. I have Venmo, PayPal, and all that type of stuff. All that's in the description box below, and a one-time thing is also super helpful. So if you do that, thanks. Also recently I've gotten just quite a nice little boost in like followers and such, and I mostly contribute that to a few things like the fact that that dang dag Phil gave me a little shout out over on his channel, which is super nice. Also, I've just been connecting with like more creators lately, which is really cool. A little intimidating, but also really cool. It's been awesome. If you're watching this, hello! Thanks for being here, especially the international ones. The idea of having international appeal is real cool, not gonna lie. Thank you all so much. The next video will probably be out towards the end of like August, and it will be back about non-monogamy. I'm gonna make a video about solo polyamory. I'm really excited. It's also gonna be a little bit about single culture, so I hope you all are excited for that. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure you're subscribed. Comment down below, tell me what food looked the most delicious, and maybe share this video around. That'd be really helpful. That'd be real cool. The most attractive people will do that. Thank you. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye. I need to film more videos where I have to eat a cheesecake at the end of it. It's great.